Hi everybody, thanks for stopping by my channel. I'm going to split up my part 2 of the Hero Arts, my monthly hero kit, because there was a lot of Copic coloring involved in today's video. So stay tuned for the final one. I do have all the cards finished. You can see a little sneak peek there. And also, if you haven't seen part 1, here are some of the cards I made in part 1. I will link that video in the iCart and also down in the description box below. So grab a drink or grab a beverage, some snacks, and I hope that you'll find some information and inspiration in this video that helps you out. So I started out using some scraps from the other projects and cutting down all these panels. This peach panel I stenciled on some glitter paste with a Hero Arts Daisy stencil. I'll link that down below as well. I grabbed my sampler pack 1 from MFT of their cardstock and just basically trying to find some cardstock that I think coordinates with the panels I created. Those panels were, some of those were shown how I made those in part 1. And so again, I'm just kind of going through and trying to see what I think would match up. Now, pardon me, I did misplace the cardstock that came in the kit. So that's actually why I'm looking for a replacement. So later I did find the cardstock that came in the kit, but this is kind of a little bit of why you're seeing this right now. But I thought I'd share my process and how I like to try to kind of find cardstock that'll coordinate with a project I'm working on. And this is, I believe, a Martha Stewart scoreboard. It shows you on the scoreboard where the A2 marking would be. So this panel ultimately, and all of my cards will be 5.5 by 4 1/4. I'll use a little file sponge there to trim off or sand off any rough edges from my blade. And so that's going to be card 1, or not card 1, but card 6 here. And then I had a whole bunch of images colored out. This one is stamped in some Memento brown colored ink. I will again put all the items listed in the description for you. Copic colors that I used, everything will be in the description box below in case that isn't visible in the video. So I'm going to start off using some, I believe it's E40 markers, and I thought I would create a green flower. I know that seems a little awkward, but I really wanted a green flower, so I don't know. And so when you're doing the Copic coloring on images like this, what I have found to get the center of the flower to look a little bit more protruded or lifted, I like to go around the outer edge of that center with my darkest color. And then I will go in and use my mid-tone color to add some dotting details. And in the very center, add my darkest shade. So as you can see there, it almost gives like a little puffy effect to the center of this flower. Now in the second flower I'm going to show, I went even lighter, and I think that's a little bit more predominant when you don't do it as dark. But so now I'm going to go around and use some green shades just to make the petals, and I start with my flicking technique from the inner of the flower and then going back towards the center, flicking on both edges of the petals. So you see there I went on the inside, and then I'll flick from the outer edge of the petal, and that gives me a center highlight on all of these petals. I will go in and add darker tones to underneath the petals, anywhere that I think a petal is overlapping another petal. And so you ultimately want to think about where would the light from sun hit what's the topmost portion of the petal that the sun is going to hit. So I did my best to kind of imagine where the sunlight would show, where the shadows would be, and just I really went back and forth with a variety of shades of the green, and just worked on this until I felt like I was happy with what it looked like. So again, I'll list all the Copic colors in the description box below. So again, you can see here, I'm kind of thinking about which way, not really thinking about where the sun is, but just wanting to create the illusion that sunlight is hitting this flower. So as I add the darker values here, you can see it really makes it look like a three-dimensional flower, so to speak. So I, off camera, went and colored all of the petals to color that bright white with my lightest shade, and that was YG11. Excuse me. I am still recovering. And so these are the shades. Now on the E's, I think I also had a lighter shade, the E42 or something. Now this is a little trick I like to do with my white gel pen. Now when you first lay a gel pen down, it's pretty wet. I think a lot of us have learned that lesson the hard way using the black gel pens, but I like to go and use it as a highlight, and I will kind of put it down and then rub it as it's almost like a wet ink, so it gives a little chalk effect and adds a little extra highlight. So I'll do that on the center of the flower, and then also I'll go around and highlight all of my petals in the areas again where I think it would need a little bit of a shine. So when I added that YG11 and colored all of the white off of my flowers, I did that because I didn't want it to be too stark white. So the YG11 was a nice light tone just to cover the whole base of that petal. So I'm going to use my heat tool and dry that gel pen. So now I can go and add some Tonic shimmer pen. And this is just a clear glitter. So I did include myself coloring this same exact flower, but in yellow. So I thought maybe you would appreciate seeing it done in a proper color. So I'm using my Y11, 13, and 15. Here are the E40 markers that I use. Now see, on the center, you'll see how I went a lot lighter, and it looks a little bit more lifted than the last flower. So again, adding my darker values to the base and the center, and then I left the rest of it very, very light. So in my opinion, I feel like that makes the center of the flower look as if it's a little puffy, if that makes sense. And I'm going to go through and do the same thing. I'm going to flick from the inner to the outer on each edge of the petals towards each other, and then I'll go back in with my darker shades and add the darker values there and add some depth. I'll use my white gel pen to add the highlights and rub that out, and some more glitter, glitter stickle thing, or the tonic pen, sorry. Okay, so we've got the two flowers colored, and then I'm going to go and start working on coloring my mouse. So I just really like those two shades. I think they work well with the background that I'm working with. So on my mouse, I'm again using the E40s. I'm trying to stay all in the same color family. And so I'll probably play some music throughout this section and just let you enjoy the mouse. And if you have any questions about anything, let me know. Also here, I'm really taking my time to think about shadows and depth. And then hopefully there's some little techniques I'm doing here that'll help you. But again, just laying out my shadows first is what I'm doing. So I'll use a light shade to do this before I commit to where I want a shadow. And then once I think, okay, I feel like these are pretty basic where shadows might lay, and then I'll go in with my darker marker and then work my way backwards and forward as I feel it's needed. I'm also going to do a little tip to tip with the markers just to fill in some areas that I thought were too contrasting, but ultimately you do it the way that you like and the way that you think it looks good. Okay, so I've got all, oh, here's Oreo. She saw a mouse on the table, so she had to jump up and say hello. Anyhow, I've got all of my images colored and cut out now. I'm using some foam. It's just some adhesive foam, craft foam that you can buy at Walmart or at your craft store. And so I'll get that adhered on my panel, and then I'll use some score tape on the opposite side of this foam. Get that set up on my card base, and I'm going to use some espresso, I'm not sure what color it was, and some Stampin' Up! Ink, just a nice rich dark brown, any dark brown you have. I'm just keeping everything with the brown shades because I stamped the images in that brown Memento ink. So I'm going to use some score tape to adhere my flowers, and I don't want the green flower to lay all the way flat yet because I'm going to stick that other flower behind it. So I'm just trying to figure out what angle, and then once I like that, I will press the yellow flower down. And then I'm going to use my tweezers to kind of hold a little spot open on the green flower, and that way I can slip the longer flower up underneath in just a moment. So here we go. I'm going to slip that in there. I just thought it would balance out the card a little bit better to add that third flower and fill the space on the upper left-hand corner of the card. I'll get my little mouse popped up with some foam tape, some 3M foam tape, and set him right between there, kind of looking up towards the sentiment, and then added some little dandelion seeds blowing around with some glue dots. And that is the finished card. I hope that you like that. There is a lot of sparkle. I don't know how much is showing up on camera, but I wanted to show you that I went in with that white gel pen and just added a little highlight to the eye, and I thought that really brought this character to life. So think about those little details when you're, working with little critters. So, okay, there's that card, and now we're going to move on to my experiment here, kind of using those little scraps that I showed you, I think, in the beginning of the card. So I really wanted to use them. I thought they were pretty, and I kind of like the geometric shapes of them in a sense like this. But I worked with this quite a bit before I went on camera because I couldn't figure out how to get this onto my card. So I wound up just cutting them apart and using them in this manner just to do the edges of the two corners, and use some matte medium glue to adhere those, because all of those are actually just scraps of the card panels I made with the Distress Oxides in part 1. So they're all watercolor, thick watercolor cardstock. So the multi-matte medium really helped to adhere these down and lay flat. Then I'll go and cut the excess off of the sides and adhere that stenciled panel, which is also watercolored and oxide, and it has stencil glitter paste on it. So I'll use some really thick 3M foam tape to get that adhered as well. So this is directly on my card base, which I kind of after the fact didn't like. I felt like it wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't as clean as I would like. So I think if I would have done all of this on a separate panel and then adhered it to my card base, I would have liked it better. So I'm going to use some Memento black ink and go ahead and stamp out this fairy. So again, with the coloring, I'm going to play some music. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below, and I'll be back shortly. Thanks. I apologize. My camera and my computer froze up while I was trying to get this microphone to come back on. It wouldn't come back on, but anyhow, so I was gonna mention that you saw me bring in that Copic color chart. So I purchased, or I actually received that as a Christmas gift a couple years ago, and it's just a little thing that you can go online and find on the Copics website, or anywhere that sells Copics might have it. It's just a little thing you can keep handy in your purse, and it actually shows you a little bit better than, it's not like the Copic color chart app where you can keep track of what markers you have. I like this because it's like a little swatch book. So that's what you saw me do with the browns and the green, is to go in and see what color tones I felt matched those little stripes on my card panel. So that's what I was doing there. I apologize, I couldn't get the mic to come back on time. But so yeah, we're going to finish up coloring this fairy, adding some sparkle. And with this card, I did go in with some Nuvo glow in the dark drops. So these are cards that I'm kind of thinking in my head that I'm going to send to my grandkids. So, you know, with the glow in the dark drops, I will probably actually go back in and add some drops in the sequins you're going to see me use, just so there's a lot more glow in the dark if my granddaughter wants to take it in the closet or whatever and actually see that it glows. So I just thought it would be cool to have her wand to actually glow in the dark. So anyhow, please stay tuned for part 3. I apologize I didn't add all of the cards into this video, but it would have been like an hour long because I did actually take a lot of time doing my last 5 cards. So I hope you'll return. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found some inspiration. I really appreciate you guys, and thank you for watching my channel and taking the time out of your day to do so, even if I'm just playing in the background. I apologize again for my voice and not being recovered yet, but again, I appreciate you guys and want to say I hope you have a great day. And yeah, just stay tuned for part 3. That should be up later this evening or by tomorrow morning. Since all of that is already filmed, I just need to finish editing, and that'll be that. So thanks so much. I'm going to finish this video out with some music, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.